Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with a Total War Warhammer video. Today we need to talk about the maps in Total War Warhammer. You see, there have been many calls for a siege rework, and that indeed makes sense. Sieges are incredibly boring and uninspired in Total War Warhammer when comparing it to other Total War games. We are aware that a siege rework is indeed coming in Total War Warhammer 3. This was confirmed by Creative Assembly. However, as you can see from the title of this video, I don't believe that we just need a siege rework. I believe that we need a complete map overhaul. I'm of course referring to not just sieges, but also minor settlements and basic battle maps too. If we can be completely honest with ourselves, maps in Total War Warhammer are very boring. Many of which are reskinned from each other, so you're basically playing the same battle over and over. And again, I'm not just speaking about basic siege maps, I'm speaking about all of the maps in general. Let's take a closer look at some maps already implemented into the game. Firstly, we have a run-of-the-mill battle map. These are the most common forms of maps that you will see when playing Total War Warhammer. Generally, they are open fields, a few trees here and there, and possibly a hill or two, but this is pretty much the format for all the generic land battles. Some may have some changes of course, but the majority of them are pretty much like this. Next we have the minor settlement battles. These are the maps that you will encounter when attacking minor settlements, those without walls. And again, it's very much the same as to the generic land battles. Nothing is really much there. Depending on the settlement map, such as the one on this video, we might see some assets here and there, buildings, maybe even a tower or so, to give it the feeling that you're attacking a settlement. Even then, it's still pretty much a barren map. Again, this is pretty much attacking the open fields, which, yeah, nothing is too interesting, and it can get rather tedious. And lastly, the siege maps. Good lord, the sieges, where pretty much all of them, despite the multitude of different races and factions in Total War Warhammer, follow the same format of around 9 different maps or so. The generic case is that you are in one side of the map and your enemies on the other, with a flat wall, sometimes a few edges here and there, or maybe even a mountain piece, but nothing really changes. It's all the same style of map. It's incredibly boring, and a main reason why many people decide to do auto-resolves when it comes to battles. Not just for sieges of course, but minor settlements and basic land battles. Everything looks the same, there's not much difference here, which means that you're pretty much gonna get bored very quickly. So as you can see, maps all around seem to be rather boring, and this seems to be an issue only affecting Total War Warhammer. If you look at older Total War titles, or even a Total War Saga Troy, which was only just released this year, they all seem to have varied maps. Sure, some cases of copy-pasting or reskinning seems to be there, but it's not as obvious as it is in Total War Warhammer. It's extremely disappointing when you look at it. I myself have recently been playing Total War 3 Kingdoms, and that's what more or less sparked up this idea for this video. While the game itself is not perfect, and the same could be said for Total War Saga Troy, their maps are varied, and I myself feel more inclined to actually play the battles out than just auto-resolving. Battle maps are, I'd say, very important in Total War. We're on the 5th year of the series, and yet the battle maps here feel so static and boring. While some could argue that the maps themselves in other Total War games are based on historical places, and thus there is more inspiration in regards to creating maps, the Warhammer series is quite old itself, 40 plus years, and it's had a lot of different artwork to represent represent different cities, towns, and places to do battle, which is why I find this whole lack of different maps rather disappointing. In truth, it is my biggest issue with the game series. Now, we can get custom maps in the form of mods. GCCM, a very popular mod series, introduces a lot of custom maps, which give players a lot more reason to actually play out the battles. Of course, the mod itself is far from perfect. It seems to have issues with the AI, where the AI does not really know how to act around all those separate entities, but it is to my understanding that many of the Total War games are based on the same engine. So if that's the case, then I'm assuming that Creative Assembly could change up the maps. As I've stated before, they have confirmed that they are looking towards a Siege rework for Total War Warhammer 3. But if that's the case, then why not just everything else in terms of maps? Let me just show you some examples from GCCM. First, let's look towards a minor settlement. This is based in Norska, and you can start seeing some stylistic ideas here. Some basic palisades to use as choke points against your enemies, raised platforms where you could have your range units fire on your enemies as they come to you, and so on and so forth. It's not the most complex of battle maps, but it has a lot of character. This already is a drastic improvement to the generic settlement battles. In no way am I saying that we need a unique map per settlement, but something along the lines of this adds a lot more flavor. Now we'll look towards the island battle maps. As you can see here, the map actually looks like you're fighting on an island. It's not the generic battle map, which pretty much looks the same as everything else. You can see a lot more character here, with a bunch of terrain in the middle which could then force your troops into different locations. This is a much smaller map, but it represents that you're fighting on a smaller island. Something like this just shows a lot more character. And you can see that with just the assets being placed around the island itself. A fleet of Norscan ships, the continent of Norska itself very close by. A map like this just feels a lot more like an island battle than the actually officially implemented ones. Again, another minor settlement, but this time representing a rather large city. This is not a siege map. As you can see, there are open walls, there are no gates and so on. It's just a city which is rather large, and thus the map represents it as such. Stuff like this looks 1,000 times better than compared to an open field. It's just got a lot more character. Also, let's not forget the fact that this map is multi-layered, which is something which was very well known in the Total War series. It's disappeared for some reason in Warhammer, but it makes a reappearance in Total War Three Kingdoms and a Total War Saga Troy. On screen right now is a proper siege map. Now this is what we can consider a siege. You are fighting to take control over a city or to defend it, and here you actually have the whole city, a huge area of land to play through, with many different streets, multiple layers, different choke points. It's got a lot of play area where you could do a lot of damage. Of course, I am not saying that every walled settlement should have a unique different battle map, but I believe that the current system is just too generic and boring. While I do also believe that any place of historical significance in the Warhammer Fantasy world, cities such as Altdorf, Middenheim and so on, should have their own unique maps, I do believe that we should get some standardized, other larger styled settlement maps, especially for sieges. Longtime viewers of this channel are completely aware that I don't like being negative whatsoever. It's something that I just don't like to represent in my videos. However, it cannot be argued that the maps themselves are incredibly boring when it comes to battles. My fear is that we'll get a siege rework with some new maps for sieges, but we won't get maps for everything else, and that in all honesty would be an incredible disappointment. We need better battle maps all around, not just for sieges. I'm not saying that one is more important than the other, but let's be honest here. If you've played other Total War titles, you'll know that the battle maps themselves are just more fun when compared to Total War Warhammer. Here's hoping Creative Assembly have something in mind in regards to minor settlements, island battles, and everything else. But what do you guys think regarding this matter? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.